If you're a blogger, then you probably know that working with brands and products you love is a great way to make some extra money. Today we are going to talk about pitching to brands so that you can make even more money. Brands for creator of Caffeinate and Conquer, and today we are going to be talking with a guest, Erica from Coming Up Roses. Erica is a blogger and the creator of an e-course called BossPitch, which is essentially the strategy that she used to become a full-time blogger. It's all about how to pitch your ideas to brands you want to work with and politely persist until you get the deals you want and make the money that you deserve for your work. Erica, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
If you want to take a quick second, why don't you just introduce yourself and your blog and let us know a little bit more about you.
Sure. So I'm Erica. I'm the blogger behind Coming Up Roses, which is cominguprosestheblog.com, and I'm a full-time blogger. Woo! I do that full-time, and I also create courses for other bloggers. So I have a course right now called BossPitch, Pitching and Politely Persisting the Ultimate Brand Partnership, and that is my first course and only course so far. So yeah, that is what I do, and I love it.
So you're sort of like the queen of brand pitching. So if somebody's tuning in and maybe they don't know, like, what does that mean? What is brand pitching? In like one sentence, how would you describe what it means to pitch to brands or what brand pitching is?
Sure. So what I consider brand pitching to be is just the process of building a relationship and reaching out to a brand directly yourself to pitch yourself as a potential collaborator through your blog. So pitching them on a specific project or just on some sort of relationship where they are compensating you to do work for them as an influencer.
And I think it's such an interesting concept because I think a lot of times when people first get into blogging, they might think of it as something that they want to do, but they get caught up in the networks. They sign on with the networks. Why do you think it's important that bloggers be doing their own pitching, maybe alongside networking or instead of the networks that there are?
Totally. So I advocate pitching because it's basically the one you have complete control over it. You have complete control over how you are presented, how you're presenting yourself and your blog and your brand. You have complete control over the relationships you're building. So instead of having to basically play defense and just basically field everything that's coming into your inbox and say like, see kind of what's there, you are totally in control. You can say, I love this brand. I use this brand every day. I know my readers would love this brand. It's a good fit. Let me make this connection happen. And it's very much just a make it happen sort of attitude. Networks, I think it could be a blessing and a curse, the fact that campaigns are so predetermined ahead of time. So you might be going into a network and it's a very specific product of a very specific company and even sometimes specific detailing as to how you're expected to portray it or kind of what sort of ideas behind the campaign. But if you're pitching yourself, it's more focused on actually building a relationship so that no matter the season, no matter what sort of event is happening, what product is launching, if it's a good fit that way.
No, and I love that. And I think that I know from just my own experience working on sponsored posts, like you talked about, I think something that every blogger hates is getting stuck into this campaign where the brand or maybe the middleman, the network, has come up with all these stipulations and you get stuck. So I think that most people see that value in working directly with brands. What would you suggest to somebody when they're getting ready to start to find brands to pitch to?
So there's multiple ways to do it. There's not like there's one set way.
Yeah.
But I think a super easy starting block, especially if you're just kind of just starting to get into the idea of pitching brands yourself and like taking it all into your own hands, is to literally look around at what you use on an everyday basis. To me, it's kind of mind-boggling that this is a struggle because we forget that we're not just bloggers, we're also consumers. So we go out and buy things just like everybody else. So you can literally look around your house and see what are the things that I use all the time that I love. Like, look at what would you recommend to your friends that's sitting around your house? Would you be like, this is my favorite lotion. I love this lotion. It's almost empty, so I'd recommend it to other people. Like, okay, perfect. I should pitch this company because clearly I like the product. It could be as simple as that, where you're literally looking around and saying, what is an active part of my everyday life that I could easily talk about and share the love with to other people.
What do you think that is like maybe one like common misconception or maybe like a myth that comes from brand pitching? Like maybe if somebody hasn't done it before, or they have done it. Like what's something that you think people kind of, they think the wrong thing about it?
I think people forget that it's all people behind the brand. So I think I've seen that a lot with like students at BossPitch, and I just see that a lot in general, where people kind of get nervous and you think like, oh my God, I'm about to pitch this huge brand. What am I going to say? Like, what are they going to think of me?
Yeah.
And you forget that that's another human being on the other side of the screen. It's just like, it's a human being who got hired probably by a marketing department or something to do a job. And it's not this big, scary thing. That's a huge misconception. And I think it makes people not want to pitch because you're afraid of messing up or like ruining something.
And I think it's funny too, like one of the things that you talk about in your course, because I did take your course, was the part about, sort of the persisting part of it. That's sort of like the second half. You talk about pitching and then you talk about persisting. And I think that part you're talking about, people forget that it's just people. Sometimes they feel, oh, well, I already, I asked them once and that, I don't want to keep bothering them. But we forget about it from our side. I mean, sometimes brands or companies have emailed me and I have ignored it 4 or 5 times before I respond. And it's the same way with brands. It's sort of like goes both ways.
Oh my God, yeah. And so many times it's like when you think you're being annoying, persisting, you're not unless you're doing it wrong. So if you're just being annoying and like actually being spammy, then yeah, that's gonna be annoying. But if you're following up for the purpose of providing value for someone and actually building a relationship, I mean, heck, there's so many times where I get an email and the only time I'm responding is because someone said, I'm following up because this is important to me and I think it'll be important to you too. And then it's like, oh my gosh, let me get on this.
What would you say is like maybe one of the coolest or best opportunities you've gotten from brand pitching? And you don't have to be specific and say like a specific brand. You could be generic about it if you want.
So I say this in BossPitch too. I pitched myself a Louis Vuitton bag. That was a big deal for me because we grew up not having a lot of money growing up, and like oh my God, it seemed like a total dream to ever touch like a Louis Vuitton bag. So that was really cool because it was also cool because it was 11 months in the making. So I say that too in the course is like literally 11 months from start until when I got the bag was I pitching and persisting and working on this relationship. So it was very much a testament to the power of following up and persisting.
I remember when you tell that story in your course, and I think that you even sort of said specifically that the person kind of like followed up at the end, like you've been really persistent and you've sort of like made your case, and I think it's just like a testament to what that can do.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the importance of following up in relationship building too, because it's like I very much had to prove that I was not just in something for a free bag. I was in it to actually build a relationship and provide value and like actually create content for this person.
And I like that about working directly with brands, and when you either pitch to a brand or they've come to you first and you sort of foster this, is that it really does become a lot more about building this relationship with them, which you don't get at all when you're working with networks. Not that I'm downing networks, because they can be a great way to work with brands. Do you usually find that when you've worked with a brand that you are developing sort of like a long-term relationship, like in a year we're going to work together again? Or is it more of a relationship where maybe they are giving you other connections?
Sometimes a little bit of both. It's not necessarily decided upon right out of the gate, okay, let's connect in a year and talk again. I more so just I use an app called Boomerang in my Gmail, and I will literally set a boomerang to come back to me in like 6 months. A year might be a lot, but I'll try like 6 months or kind of a quarterly sort of thing, and I'll just follow back up with them and just kind of, if you have the relationship, it's the same way as if you're texting one of your friends, like, hey, haven't talked to you in a while, like, what's new, what's going on, that sort of distant but not too distant connection, just to stay on people's radar. I think that's super effective. So I'll do that.
So I think it was last year, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was last year that you officially became a full-time blogger.
Yeah.
And would you say that, has it been a year?
Almost. Mid-May will be a year.
Would you say that brand pitching is one of the reasons you were able to go full time. I know that Caffeinate and Conquer, a lot of the people on Caffeinate and Conquer, a lot of people in our Facebook group, like a big thing that they really want to do is find a way to monetize their work and to do it either part time or full time.
100%. So that was like 100% what let me do it full time. BossPitch was actually in the making for a long time before that, and a lot of it came from the fact that I went through this like crazy process of realizing a lot of things just about how networks function and how they monetize and how that affects how much you can earn as a blogger in a network. And I basically just had this like come to Jesus moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not making nearly what I should be making or could be making. And that was like, oh, I can do this full time then, because if I kick it up a notch and like really go all out with where I should be at anyway, there's no reason why I shouldn't be full time with it. So yeah, that was like, it was a process of realizing what my rates should have been, upping them accordingly, and going after it all myself instead of just waiting for an opportunity to come in my inbox from a network or for something to show up on a portal that was a good fit. You know, it was very much like, okay, I know how much I want to make this month. I know how many posts that needs to be or how much social content that needs to be to hit that mark. So, okay, now it's time to like build relationships and pitch people and just literally make it happen.
Austin really likes that. Hold on. He's going to join us because that's going to be the only way that he'll be quiet.
Yes, Austin, what's up, dude?
All right, before we sign off for this interview, we've talked about it a little bit. I'll have a link in the description, but let us know a little bit more about BossPitch and, you know, what's so great about it. I loved it. I suggest it, but to those people watching, why might they want to consider it?
Sure. Well, it's relaunching in the beginning of May, so holla. But basically, it's literally the exact blueprint that I used to go full-time as a blogger. So it covers everything from, okay, when you're even, how do you even set your blog and social up for successful partnerships with brands? What brands should you work with? Who's the best fit? How do you pitch them? How do you effectively follow up with them? Because that's very key. And yeah, it just goes through that whole process, and then it has a whole bunch of added content to make the process as easy as possible. So things like email templates, media kit template, like anything and everything to do with working with brands on your own, I've basically got you covered. And yeah, I think it's not, I say it's for people who are wanting to go full time, but really it's just for anyone who's serious about wanting to monetize their blog, and is willing to kind of do the work to make it happen, because it's not like it is easy to be a full-time blogger. It's just the course makes it easier.
Erica, thank you so much for joining us on Caffeinate and Conquer today.
Thanks for having me.